So, folks, I'm going to New Hampshire this weekend, as many of you know, to do some on-the-ground reporting, and I was very excited to go to a Vivek Ramaswamy Town Hall event in Milford, New Hampshire. I had it scheduled. It was in the calendar, but Vivek did not fare very well last night. He finished in fourth place with 7.7% of the vote, and so he decided to cancel those town hall events in New Hampshire and instead suspend his campaign. Here he is addressing his supporters.
A campaign founded on speaking the truth, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not just to the Democrats, but to our own side. And not just to other campaigns and candidacies, but to ours. And so I will stick to the truth tonight. The first hard truth, and this one's hard for me. I got to admit this.
I'm gay.
But we've looked at it every which way. And
I got city hands, Mr. Hooper. Counting money all your life.
Achieve the surprise that we wanted to deliver tonight. And I think that that's just a hard fact that we're going to have to accept as a campaign. And the question then is, what do we do that is right for our country? And so Purv and I, we actually didn't make this contingency plan before everybody told us to. We said, no, we're not doing that. But we talked about it tonight. We took a little bit of time in our apartment in Des Moines before coming here to make some hard choices.
See, he clearly didn't make this contingency plan because I'm going to New Hampshire next week to do some on-the-ground reporting, as I mentioned, and he had events lined up, which is one of the reasons why I thought he's going to stay in, and that could have been one of the reasons why Trump went off on him there, because he figured the guy's not even going to get out of my way after Iowa, but turns out, I think what happens is that backlash that he got from the MAGA crowd when he did his bullshit thing, vote for me to save Trump, the fact that he got such a flood of pushback probably signaled to him, hey, I better get out of this race now. I better not stand in Trump's way in New Hampshire. I think that was part of his rationale there, for sure.
Yeah, he's trying to salvage it before it's impossible for Trump to let bygones be bygones.
Exactly. I don't think Trump gives you 3 strikes. You're lucky if you get 2. He gave him 2. So he figures strike 1 was pulling that bullshit at the last minute in Iowa. Strike 2, that would have been staying on the ballot in New Hampshire. But here's the rest.
And I wanted to make a couple of announcements tonight to get the business out of the way. And then I want to tell you where we're going. As of this moment, we are going to suspend this presidential campaign. And this is going to have to be, there is no path for me to be the next president absent things that we don't want to see happen in this country.
Like the things I told you were going to happen 2 days ago in my closing pitch to the voters of Iowa. Now I realize, you know what? Maybe that argument that they're going to whack Trump, so you better support me, that obviously didn't win over the hearts and minds of the Republican faithful. So now I'm going to just backtrack. You know what? We really don't want that to happen, so we're not going to go there. So I'm gonna do the sensible thing, which is drop out and support.
I spoke to Elon over a bowl of ketamine, and he is working on a force field that will protect Donald Trump from the deep state. So now I feel comfortable removing myself from the race.
From now on, I will be volunteering for the Trump campaign as his personal bodyguard. Sir, please step back. Sir, I'm asking you again, please step back.
I am well trained in Krav Maga.
Yeah.
And a variety of other martial arts techniques.
Yep.
And I think that I am very worried for our country. I think we are skating on thin ice as a nation. We have done everything in our part to make, and done, every one of us in this room has done our part to save this country. And I am so proud of every one of you who have lifted us up. But we're a campaign founded on the truth. And so that's why we've made that decision today. And I'm also making the decision that this has to be an America First candidate in that White House. As I've said since the beginning, there are 2 America First candidates in this race. And earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulated him on his victory and Now going forward, he will
And
have
that I
my
have
full
no gag
endorsement
reflex.
for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country. And so I'm going to ask you to follow me in taking our America First movement to the next level. It did not begin in 2016. It began in 1776.
There you go. Made sure to get that one in before the buzzer. That's his new big
I don't need
line.
this. I don't need this working class hero crap.
Vivek's campaign is no more. We're going to miss Vivek. Vivek produced some good moments. He had some good, took some good shots there at Nikki Haley and some of the neocons in the race. You know, he served a purpose. But I always thought he was a bit of a double talker, and he really proved that in the past few days. You know,
he was. I must say, I did take some pleasure in him on the debate stage, telling all of them that they're irrelevant. And it should be hosted by, what did he say, Joe Rogan,
the media people,
Elon
right.
Musk.
Right.
Because he's not wrong in terms of what would be relevant to people and who would ask questions that people would be interested in. He wasn't wrong. I mean, that was why I said Vivek was talented. He had that talent for speaking truths that, kind of hit that spot that Trump hits. But he just didn't read with the same kind of sincerity.
Yeah, no, he came across as very performative. He always came across as rehearsed to me. And look, I mean, there was no real way for him to.
He took some shots. I mean, that's where he was Trump-esque, because he took some shots that were off script.
Oh, sure, of course, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of Elon, because we mentioned Elon a couple of times in this segment, and Elon is not alone in this, but Elon has obviously, for obvious reasons, a huge X following. And there were a lot of people where, when I, criticized Vivek on the Jimmy Dore show, and even when I did it here, there were a lot of people who gave me the comment, well, you believe the polls? You believe the polls that say he's polling at 7-8%? I said, yeah, I do believe the polls. I think he's going to finish around 7-8%, and that's where he finished. But if you got it wrong, it's not entirely your fault, because here's Elon Musk tweeting out on the 13th. My guess is that Vivek
where it was coming from?
Will far exceed the polls when the votes are counted. Well, Vivek was also saying, hey, numbers don't lie, but polls do. There's a sleeping giant of support for me out there. And there was never any evidence of that. And here's just, shit-talking Elon Musk. Yeah, my guess, based on what I want to happen, because I'm a rich guy who usually gets what he wants. Yeah. I'm a rich guy who usually gets what he wants. And so I want Vivek to do better than expectations. And so I'm just going to say, without any basis in reality, that the polls are rigged against Vivek and that he's going to shock the world. And there was never any reason to believe that was going to happen. He had his moment, just like a lot of candidates have their moment. Remember in, 2012, Herman Cain had that big moment, right, where he surged in the polls and he was winning in Iowa. It lasted a few weeks, and then people moved on. That's kind of what Vivek had for a while there. But there was never any reason to believe that he was going to really catch fire. He did what was certainly the smart move in dropping out and endorsing Trump ahead of New Hampshire, and apparently it worked. He was on stage with Trump at a rally in New Hampshire just about an hour before we went live. So apparently all is forgiven. Apparently they're cool. He got away with it. He got away with one. Not many people cross Trump and actually get away with it, but seems like he is an exception in that case. So ends the Ramaswamy campaign. And so begin his days as a
Vivek, we
surrogate.
hardly knew you.
We hardly knew you.
Please clap.